Final Fantasy 15. I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about it, and that's awesome. With information to anything being so accessible these days, it's special to just ignore the hype, ignore the previews, and just experience something for the very first time on your own. I booked the day off, so I'm excited to play it. I wanted to think about what Final Fantasy means to me. I'm not an encyclopedia of the series, which is why I didn't buy World of Final Fantasy. There's a ton of references that I don't even understand, so I feel my enjoyment will be very minimal. If anyone wants to tell me otherwise, I'm definitely all ears, as I love the chibi art style of the game. So let's go back to a time when I was just a wee lad. Final Fantasy VII was just released. It became quite a big cover story among many gaming magazines, and the hype was impossible to ignore.
They said it couldn't be done in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII.
PlayStation.
I regularly played platform games and shoot 'em ups, but the reason Final Fantasy VII interested me was simply because it had free discs. In my young and naive mind, free discs was essentially just the same as owning free games, so I considered this to be a pretty decent deal, and a worthwhile use of my pocket money. It also helped that the Back of Blocks sold it to me as a young 10-year-old. Just look at this. Awesome cutscenes using the words mind-blowing, hundreds of characters shaping your destiny, and summon raging demons. Yeah. To this day, I have never even bothered reading the synopsis. The captions for the screenshots were more than enough to get my mind racing for an epic adventure. Now, Final Fantasy VII was actually my first RPG. I never really knew what to expect. I didn't even realize that there was such a thing as turn-based combat. But you know what? I was hooked. I had never experienced something as grand as this before. There's a ton of people out there who, just like me, Final Fantasy was their first ever RPG. And its world was so real, engaging, and beautifully crafted. I still kick myself now that I never managed to finish it. I remember getting to the Gold Saucer, and Barrett was struggling to fight someone, and I just couldn't defeat them. I could have been dying. I can't remember. I should really go back and finish it. I did play 8, but it didn't quite hit me as hard as 7. You know what they say, you always remember your first. And I skipped 9 completely. It's a shame, because I heard quite a lot of positive things from the community about this game. Some saying it was the best in the series. But I did get Final Fantasy X, or 10. I don't know how it's pronounced these days. Gaming was getting to a really interesting stage during the PlayStation 2 era, where we were seeing a lot of really cool breakthroughs in graphical quality. And I think Final Fantasy X was one of the best, in my opinion. With its voice acting, it felt much closer to a movie than any other game before it. I spent hours upon hours playing the game, and was probably more drawn into the world than I had been with Final Fantasy VII. I was a bit older and could understand the mechanics a little bit more. I even managed to complete it. However, I did have to cheat. You see, I spent so much time trying to pursue through the story that when I reached the final boss, I had not leveled my team up. So I went through a stage of dying to the boss every day for about a fortnight, and I lost my patience. I think I recall going to the shops and buying an action replay disc so I could give my team an absurdly large number of health. It wouldn't be until Final Fantasy XIV or Where Am We Born that I got hooked into the series once more. But this was not a traditional Final Fantasy game, it was an MMO, and in my honest opinion, it kicks World of Warcraft in its metaphorical balls. I've never been into MMOs, I'm afraid. I've played dozens, and none of them really gelled for me. None except Final Fantasy XIV. It was designed to work really well with a control pad. I enjoyed the ability to switch between classes, and above all else, I loved exploring the world. I would often just spend hours grinding for gear and mining. Of course, the boredom was lessened by having my partner play with me. We would play the game for hours, put on the stereo, and try our best to manipulate the trade board with materials we had found. It wasn't until the housing update that we had a grand goal. That goal? To purchase a home. We put in the time, analyzed the trade market every morning, and finally got enough gil to afford a top-of-the-range house. Unfortunately, these houses were for clan members only. We even went through the exploit of creating a clan with 2 inactive members. But it would take a few hundred or even 1,000 hours to level up our clan to be entitled to buy a house. The millions of gil still sits in our accounts. I think we just never found a way to spend it. We cancelled our subscription because we felt cheated. Like our time was wasted. We enjoyed the world, but somehow it turned into a search for profit and backfired on us. I hear shortly after that they added the ability to own your own personal housing, and I've been dropping hints to my partner to return to Final Fantasy XIV. But I think that ship has sailed. We'll see. I do miss it. And that leads us to Final Fantasy XV. I have not played it, I've stayed away from previews, and I have been trying my damnedest to experience the game completely fresh. It's been a while since I've been so engrossed in the gaming world, and that's the thing I love about the Final Fantasy series. The characters, the lore, their obsession with using crystals for plot devices. I have not been this excited to play a game in so long. In fact, I found myself playing fewer games and spending more time watching TV on Netflix to relax. Final Fantasy XV is an opportunity for me to escape into a gaming world unlike any other. Sure, Watch Dogs is a bit of fun, but it's too real. I can take a plane to San Francisco, but I can't ever visit anywhere like the Final Fantasy series. I hope everyone has a lot of fun playing Final Fantasy XV. I'm still not too sure on whether I should do a short Let's Play. I'm kind of excited, and I fear it would just be a video of me staring at the screen, mouth wide open, as I try to take in an overload of information. If you feel like it, share your favorite memory of Final Fantasy. For me, I think a good part of it will be the heavy metal soundtrack to Final Fantasy X's intro. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!